I think this experience changed everybody, whether they were standing under the South Tower or if they were standing on a street corner in Paris or out for dinner in Beijing. I think that one day in 1 year in the world changed our entire universe as we know it. Hi, my name is David Handschuh. I'm a photographer in New York City. So the morning of September 11th in 2001, I was heading down to teach a photojournalism class at NYU. I was on the West Side Highway on West Street in Lower Manhattan going in to teach. And suddenly the voice on the fire radio said, "A plane's just hit the World Trade Center and it's on fire." I wound up following a fire department rescue company down the West Side Highway. They were going with their lights on and their sirens wailing. They were going southbound in the northbound lane of traffic, and I hopped right behind them. And there were firefighters putting on their air tanks. They were pulling tools. They were getting ready to save lives and to fight the fires. And they were waving out the back door to me. These are firefighters that I've covered for many years in New York City. There were 12 firefighters on the rescue that morning. They were in their hearse going to their own funeral. They just didn't realize it at the time. It was just a non-believable sight. It was just, I know my eyes were seeing things, my camera was recording moments, but my brain wasn't processing people who were making the life and death choice of jumping to their death as a better alternative to being burned alive 100 floors in the air. The airplane parts, the car parts, the debris, the newspapers, the office papers that were blowing around in the street, the people who were coming to work and looking up, holding their coffee with a look of utter disbelief on their face. And that was the right look to have, because nobody should have to pay witness to an attack like this. There are several images that I took that morning that will never be on my website, never appeared in a newspaper, and are just too gratuitous to share with people. They were horrible, horrible moments that don't deserve to be shared. But what I do have, I think there are two very notable pictures. One photograph that was taken just a millisecond after the South Tower was hit. The sky is that beautiful blue, but there's a column of flame belching out of the middle of the South Tower, and pieces of glass and brick and mortar hurtling to the ground as that beautiful blue sky is framed by acrid, ugly black smoke. And there's another photograph that morning of Chief Jerry Barbera, a New York City fire chief. It's the last photograph that was taken of him ever. Chief Barbera lost his life at the World Trade Center, but he's in the foreground looking up, and there's no fear. There's nothing other than years and years, decades of experience, and the knowledge that his firefighters were going to go in there and save people's lives. When the South Tower came down, I was right in front of the tower, and there's no reason other than luck, karma, kismet, fate. I was in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time, whatever way, but I brought my camera up to my eye as the South Tower started to crumble, and I opted to run away rather than to stay there and take pictures, and was picked up and I was tossed almost a city block. I was buried alive underneath, partially underneath a fire chief's car and under a pile of rubble. My mouth was filled with all kinds of debris. I had lost my glasses when I went flying, but managed to hold on to two cameras, each that had about 90 or 100 photographs of the last hours at the World Trade Center on them. I owe my life to strangers. I owe my life to people who didn't know me, who put themselves at risk to take me out from under a pile of rubble, to carry me back to safety, to hold my hand in an ambulance while heading to a hospital. My injuries were tough. Took 9 months to recover, but they're inconsequential in the global scheme of things. You know, I had to learn how to walk again, still dealing with some of those issues, some breathing difficulties, but overall, I'm alive, and so many of the families would give anything to get their loved one back, whether they were broken or not. So I really don't get too hung up in what my injuries were, basically because for some reason I was fortunate enough to have lived. There were several photographers who lost their life that morning. Bill Biggert was a freelance photographer in New York, and after the guys from 217 got me out, they had left me on West Street to be taken care of by other people, and I lost my glasses, and without my glasses I can't see 3 feet in front of me. But I believe Bill and I crossed paths that morning. He had somebody who was kind of shaped like a photographer, with a camera bag on their side and what appeared to be some cameras around their neck. Even after the collapse of the first tower, photojournalists were there documenting history. Bill lost his life. There was a police officer assigned to the video unit named Glenn Pettit, and Glenn and I were friends for many years. He had been a freelance videographer in New York. He shot still photos. And the morning of September 11th, he had a camera on his shoulder, a badge on his chest, and a gun on his hip, working for the video unit of the New York City Police Department. And up until the very last moment, Glenn was following every single one of his life's passions. He was taking photographs, he was recording history, and he was working as a police officer. That's what photojournalists do. We don't consider the risk to ourselves, both of injury or death, but we just go out there every day to tell the truth, whether we're doing it at a terrorist attack in New York or whether we're doing it in Afghanistan. Photographers around the globe put their life on the line every day to go out and tell truth with their camera. You know, the words thank you can't be enough. I have no way of expressing adequate gratitude to the people who saved not only my life that day, but the lives of thousands and thousands of people. And we will never forget the people who were lost, but always remember the acts of kindness that transpired not only on September 11th, but for the weeks and weeks afterwards.